Have you heard of VPN, or Virtual Private Network, which is designed to protect your data and route your IP address? Well, if you think your data is really safe through a VPN, you might want to check which app you're using. RT's Sarah Montez de Oca joins me with the latest. So, Sarah, what can you tell us about VPNs?
Well, Scotty, VPNs, after social media giants like Facebook and Snapchat, are the world's most searched for apps, which means that people are looking for ways to protect themselves, at least their data. VPNs are essentially used to keep internet activity private, evade censorship, and use public Wi-Fi networks in a secure way. But according to a recent report, the most popular free VPNs are faulty operations with shady privacy policies. Many of these operations are run out of China. 86% have policies that fail to disclose just how the provider handles the data. These include lack of important detail around logging in, sometimes no policy at all, and tracking user activity or sharing with third parties. 59% of these free apps are linked to China. And the report also concluded that over half, or 52% of customer support emails, were personal accounts from Gmail, Hotmail, and Yahoo. Now, the report found that these untrusted free VPN apps are among the top results in Apple's App Store and Google's Play Store in both the UK and the US. Now, because of the potential misuse of these apps, it's important for consumers to really be informed. The head researcher from the report concluded that it was often very challenging to verify who was actually behind these VPN apps, due to the great lengths that companies went to in order to hide their ultimate ownership and far beyond the means of the typical consumer to discover. But isn't the purpose of VPNs to protect us? I spoke to cybercriminal expert Hiram Delamo.
You're encrypted from where you're at to the destination, which is, let's say, for example, it's Facebook. Now, once that data reaches the destination, that data is not encrypted anymore. So anybody can use that data and sell the data. They're not saying is that once it gets to the destination, it has to get unencrypted so people can read the data. We're all kind of slaves of applications, and we're all kind of slaves of the apps that we currently use. Unfortunately, many of these apps are written by organizations that God knows who they are. So we're at their mercy, unfortunately, because we ourselves as a user don't have the technology to really understand how all of that works.
It seems like Google and Facebook failed to do some of their homework and properly vet these shady VPN apps. Meanwhile, Facebook is caught between US and UK law. The UK released internal Facebook emails that they said show how executives at the social media giant gave developers special access to user data, and further considered charging companies for access to this information several years ago. Facebook released a statement in response and said that documents released on Wednesday are only part of the story and are presented in a way that is very misleading without additional context. Facebook went on to say that they, like many other businesses, were only talking internally and having internal conversations regarding a sustainable business model. They said the facts are clear and that they've never sold any people's data. Now, Scotty, when it comes to keeping data safe, it's really hard to really know who to trust, but it may be just that, knowing that nothing in this world comes for free.
Well, that's the thing. Facebook is free. Some of these VPNs are free. Is there any sort of apps that people should be trusting right now?
Well, either way, the message is encrypted throughout the process. At the end of the process, like Delamo said, it's encrypted. They say WhatsApp is one of them. WhatsApp is actually an app that keeps the encryption. But again, in the final step, in order for the user to read the message, it has to be re-encrypted.
Interesting very much. Thank you very much for covering this, Sarah. For more, we are going to be joined by investigative journalist Ben Swan. Ben, thank you for joining us.
Scotty, thanks for having me on.
Okay, so what do you make of Facebook giving developers access to their user data? You are very active on social media. And what about contemplating charging for this data? Would that actually work?
Well, I think it absolutely would have worked at the time. The problem is this, and Facebook says they weren't doing this, they weren't going to do this. Yes, they spent 2 years, 2012 to 2014, having conversations and sending emails back and forth between the leadership, including Mark Zuckerberg, on how they could do this. Essentially, they wanted to charge anybody who was spending already $250,000 and above on Facebook ads, give them special access to this data. But they says, but we never did it. so it's not that big of a deal. The problem is that Facebook has always claimed that it would never do such a thing. And then when you find emails saying that they were talking about it, you have to wonder whether or not they actually have.
Well, that's the thing, Ben. I mean, Facebook is a free service. I mean, do people actually, I mean, how do they pay the bills of Facebook? How do folks figure that's going to be? Just because I saw an ad on there, they think that's covering all of the bills it takes to run Facebook and the background for it? So isn't this sort of be like, you know what, buyer beware. This is what you get when you get it for free. You got to give something up.
Okay, but the thing is, Facebook actually could be running its entire business just through ads. The amount of money spent on ads to reach consumers through Facebook and through sites like that, it's a massive amount of money. They ought to be able to do that. The problem is this, is that Facebook is not disclosing to people when they're taking their data. So one of the problems with this story is that the Android application, when it updated several years ago, left out all these bits of information telling people that, in fact, your information would be logged and data could be used and shared with all these other parties. So if you're going to do this, Facebook, then you need to at least come out and say, this is what we're going to do. If you want to use our service for free, you give us your data. It's a trade. But they don't say that. In fact, Facebook does the opposite. It makes it sound like that they are champions of protecting data, when in fact they are actually making money off of that data. And again, there are lots of ways to run this business, lots of ways to make money, and they absolutely could. I believe they absolutely could run it as a business focused on advertising, because that's where the eyeballs were. Maybe not are anymore, but that's where they were.
That's interesting. So as long as they disclose it, I think people would be okay with that. And I agree with that one, to be honest with you. So here's the question. What kind of data are they risking? And more importantly, who can they sell it to? Is there any sort of limitations that they could sell the information that they glean from your Facebook page?
Well, no, there really is no limitation on it. So if you go back to this story that broke in the UK, the app developer who actually leaked this information to the lawmakers in the UK says that he was running a site, get this, it's called 643, and essentially the site itself that he was running is called Bikinis. And the data he says he was given access to allowed him to find any pictures that anybody posted on Facebook of them in a bikini. That's the site. Are you kidding me? Like, this is almost a test case for exactly what the kind of data you don't want shared. If you said to Facebook, hey, you know, you can find out where I like to shop and some of the things I like to buy, but no, you can't have access to my bikini pictures and sell those to an app developer who then shares them everywhere. Come on. It's the craziest example that I think we possibly could have thought of, and that's the one that actually was leaked to the UK lawmakers.
And what's even more scary is forget the bikini pictures, just finding out a person that has kids. They can have, obviously, that data is very valuable. It would never stop. If they can target in as much as people in bathing suits, they can target in on people that do anything. Thanks for joining us, Ben, and thanks for following this story.
Thanks.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.